Hey guys, it's Nick with tech-Nic, and today's video is going to be a little different as we look to solve a computing issue on my main gaming rig. So join us as we check out 128 gigs of RAM from Viper. Let's go! Just a quick little summary here to catch you up to speed on what we're dealing with. So this PC back here has an RTX 3080. It's pushing 48 gigs of RAM. That's more than enough for any game that's out there. There's no game that I don't even think needs 48 gigs of RAM. All right. The machine is extremely capable of gaming, and it pushes any and everything without a problem. Starfield, Halo, Cyberpunk, Microsoft Flight Simulator. Anything I've thrown at this thing, except one, and that's Rust. Rust continually crashes that PC. Now the motherboard is an Asus Z490 Prime. It is capable of running different size RAMs. After a lot of time spent on this, I've tried a couple of things and gotten to this place. So I think it's peaking one, and the smaller 8 gig cards that are in there, I think it's tripping them. Now, to do that on this, I had to go into the BIOS and actually do it in the firmware and enable that to be overclocked. And so I've done that, and I saw a little bit better of a result for a bit. And then this week happened. In the middle of everything that's going on, I finally had a minute to just retreat to the game room, and in 30 minutes of gameplay, it crashed 6 times. 6 times. So what did I do?
How many times?
6 times. And so what I did was jumped right online and grabbed these. 128 gigs of RAM from Viper. These are the Patriot series cards. They're 3600 hertz. We're going to install these and we're going to see what happens. But first, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the performance and the ratings on a user benchmark on what it is today, so we can gauge the difference here of going from 48 gigs to 128 gigs of RAM. Let's check this out. So that latency is what is scaring me a little bit here, and I am confident in saying that what we're seeing here is an issue in using 2 different size sticks of RAM, and so I'll show that here in a second as we do this part. So what we're going to do now is we're going to power the system down and unplug the power. We'll go through that step with you, and we are going to actually replace these 4 sticks of RAM and then run this and see what we have. Okay, so again, I've got this powered off, and I have unplugged the power supply from the computer because I'm not wanting to risk having any current moving through this while I do it. I'm going to take these off, and I can move this front glass away. The actual excuse me, oh my gosh, actual exchange of these is not a very difficult thing at all, but I will show you as we go here kind of what we're looking at as we take these out. Now again, these, when you do multiple cards, they work in pairs. So the 2 of these cards are, and it's not like you might think. You might think when you put these in, you'd go in the first 2 slots, and that would be how you set these up, but it's not. It actually, they alternate, and so this computer has been set up and running with these G-Skill rip jaws. When you use different size sticks of RAM, sometimes they don't always cooperate, and sometimes, well, I mean, you can have a bad stick of RAM, that does happen, but more often what happens is that they don't work at the same speed. They get capped by the slower of the 2. So we didn't have that problem, again, after I enabled XMP on these through the BIOS until last week. And these will be repurposed and used on another machine. So this is just going to be a good old-fashioned upgrade. Now, it is worth noting what we paid for these. Now, I've never used Vipers before. However, I was able to get 128 gigs of DDR4 for $214 delivered from Amazon. And I thought, and I'll put a link below, but I thought that was pretty incredible.
By Grabthar's hammer.
What a savings.
Now I want to make sure that I'm lining this up correctly. And so the first way that you'll do that is before you crank this into your board, just kind of loosely put it in there and make sure that the slot in the stick of RAM lines up with the slot. And it's a little, if you can tell, there's one long side and one short side. You want to make sure that you have it the right way. Don't cram this in there, okay? When you put in sticks of RAM, it goes in the bottom and then it goes in the top. Be careful as you snap that in. If you feel any play or movement in your motherboard, okay, and even though this is bolted back there, if you feel any movement, hold on a second, okay? Kind of get position and keep everything stable while you click that in. Do not just push straight back and hammer that in. Because if the motherboard has any movement to it, you can crack that entire thing. Now, because these are all four the same size, I don't have to worry about pairing these up in different slots. I can just fill all four slots. We've got two in. Now, why don't you zoom in closer on these two, and I'll try to be quiet. Give them all a little test here. Let's make sure we're seated all the way in. Those all feel nice and flush, and we're good there. All right, now, I know a lot of people that go, hey, I don't know for sure that those are seated all the way back in there. I'm going to leave the glass off. I'm going to power it back up, and I'm going to see. Come on. Don't be one of those guys. Put this back up. Let's protect the components in here. And at the end of the day, I understand if you think it won't, there's not a real risk there. But look, I would rather be safe instead of sorry on something like this.
Let's be honest. You saw us take this off. There's a risk.
There's a risk every time I do anything. And then if I did not, in fact, clip something in all the way that, now I've mucked the glass up pretty good.
Oh, yeah.
I will be aggravated as I'll have to...
You've mucked it up.
I'll have to reinstall all of this. All right, now, let's give her a good old power up. All right, so the benchmark has finished. Let's check out the results. So for most Z490 builds that are out there, we're killing it, okay? But here's what I'm seeing over here. We're still having, we're in a weird thing of latency over here. Interesting. So I'm gonna have to dig into that a little bit more. But here's the thing. The real test is gonna be this. And so let's back out. Let's just do it. Let's just do this, okay? The real test is going to be, do we see any performance improvement in Rust? So let's just give it a good old-fashioned try, and let's see what happens. All right, let's see. And here we go. Now, again, I only had a period of about 5 minutes at a time where I could play before it crashed. So hopefully, we're about to see something completely different here. But if it's not solved this problem, we should see it pretty quickly. John, if you listen, the sticks of RAM are not making that noise that I've been blessed with for the last few months.
That's what we're calling it?
Well, that's what I'm going to go with anyway. I'm going to die very soon. Let's just hope the game doesn't crash. But mark my word, I will be dying very soon as there's a drop coming in and I have 0 weapons. No clothes, no weapons, I got nothing. But the RAM has not made a peep, not one. I feel bad. I just killed Poor helpless person, but I had to. I would really like to be able to take this axe out of my head, but you know, you can't get everything you want. So let's. And I know what you're thinking. Tech-Nic, we thought you were better than that. Well, I'm going to tell you what. I tried to make friends in Rust, and that was damn near impossible. I would, you know, give them tools and be like, hey man, hey, here's some resources. Let's buddy up. Don't hurt me. Don't kill me. Here's some stuff. Let's just chill. Let's be nice. And this would be a lot of times when I'd have the drop on somebody too. Let me say that. That's worth mentioning here. That I would have the drop on somebody and not kill them. I would spare them, and then they would murder me, and not only murder me, but they would shout obscenities at me, and then they would tell me they were going to find my Rust children and do the same thing to them. So, John, it might be worth just fast forwarding through all of this, but I'm going to say this. Okay?
Okay.
I believe that this has solved the problem. Is that him? Did he find me and get his revenge? I think he did. So here's what I'm going to say. I've been playing now for a bit. Two noticeable differences. One, most importantly, I have not had a crash at all. But two, the sound like I was getting on the other sticks of RAM, and again, there's nothing wrong with G-Skill RAM. These are great products, okay? These rip jaws are great. But again, running 8 gigs, 2 8 gig sticks and two 8 gig sticks and two 16 gig sticks, even though they're supposed to be compatible and the motherboard can handle different size RAMs and different speeds, I feel like that's where we were getting the issue. These made an audible noise while this was running. John, did it not?
Oh God, yes.
We would have this click, 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 in these high intensity moments in the game, and then a drop, and it would crash. There's not a single noise coming out of this, other than the fan at this point. After playing for this short amount of time, but again, after seeing a difference of a couple of things and seeing what we're seeing, I believe we have just fixed our personal issue of why this device continued to crash while playing Rust. Guys, I'm going to get, obviously, a lot of time on this, but we've just taken this system to 128 gigs of RAM. I'm going to continue to test this. That was the install process and a look. But again, on Amazon right now, you're getting 128 gigs of these Viper Patriot sticks for $214. That was Amazon Prime. That was shipping included. So guys, if you're looking for a solution, this might just be it. I want to say thank you. I appreciate your support watching the channel. I'm Nick with tech-Nic. Catch you next time.